I Israel lever många med en blandning av framtidstro och osäkerhet, med konflikter bokstavligen runt hörnet. Adele Raemer är en av dem som bor precis vid gränsen till Gazaremsan.
So the fence is here also for against crime. There are criminals who will drive in from the area and steal cars or farm stuff, but it's also for security. And this is the black wire that you see it's connected to the person who's in charge of security, so that if the fence is tampered with, they dig under or try and cut through it. Our security are notified by it, and they will come to see what's going on and take care of it.
Do you think that that the perception on the other side of the border are similar to what you?
The people that I'm in touch with are. I have a Facebook group called Life on the Border with Gaza, and during one of the previous escalations, I opened up a room on Facebook, and there were people from the States that popped in to see how I'm doing and everything, and all of a sudden, I see a woman in a hijab, and she was in Gaza. And I was talking to her, and we were expressing empathy. I was saying, I feel so bad that you have to live through this, because I have my safe room. The people on the other side don't have the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, behind them protecting them, or their government protecting them. Their government does not protect them. Their government uses them as human shields to hide their weapons, to hide their rockets. And she was saying she was also empathizing with us, and she was sitting in her home and hugging her child and looking at the sky and thinking of the people on the other side as well. We're all people. We have more in common than we do our differences.
And when you think about then the future, is it possible for you to have a bright thoughts on the future? Do you believe in a two-state solution? Is that controversial for you?
I believe that there should be a two-state solution. I believe that the Palestinians should have a state where they can be in charge of their own lives. War is not an act of God. It's not an earthquake. It's not a typhoon. War is act of man, and it's something that can be solved. It has to be able to be solved. And here next to the playground, we have a shelter that was put down here, and in order to make it less threatening and less scary looking, we have a resident artist who lives here. He was born here. He actually lost a brother to the conflict. Parents are with their children playing in the playground here, and there's a red alert. They just go in here.
Okay. Yeah.
Are these shelters open? Okay, it's open.
Yeah,
totally
it's
open. Okay.
You need to be
You have to be on the side of this in order to be protected from shrapnel.
Okay.
Kan du fatta?
Ja.
Adele lever med ständiga varningar om raketattacker. Hur lyckas man leva ett så normalt liv som möjligt? Och hur skyddar man sig?
Around 2010, we had the government of Israel realized that people who live in the place where we do, where you have 0 to 10 seconds to take cover from the moment a rocket is shot off until you hear the explosion, you can't just rely on bomb shelters like we used to be able to. So they built on every house within 4 kilometers of the border, and that widened out to 7 kilometers from the border, a safe room. So if I'm working in the kitchen and there's a red alert, a code red incoming rocket warning, I have to run to here.
Yep.
This is a concrete reinforced room that supposedly will withstand a direct hit from a rocket. There's also a special window here that is with special glass and an iron sleeve.
That looks very heavy.
Which is what it is. That's what really keeps me safe.
Yeah.
And because last night there was rocket fire into Israel to a kibbutz about 20 minutes north of me, before I went to bed, I close the iron sleeve, because if I'm in my bedroom and there's an alert, I won't have time to get to this room, shut the door, and shut the sleeve. And in order to be safe, really, the door has to be closed, because God forbid the rocket falls on another part of my house.
How often is it red alert in this area?
It's not something that you can really say how often. It's like there are periods of calm, and there are periods of escalation, and there are periods that are in between. So like an escalation is out and out war, which is something that we had for 3 days last August. But in between, you have this random rocket fire like we had last night, which you can't really...
Are you afraid, or are you getting used to it in some sense?
This isn't something you ever get used to. You learn how to deal with it. You learn how to live with it. You don't get used to it.
And you mentioned 0 to 10 seconds, sort of. Is that time you have to go run?
I say 0 because sometimes when it's mortars, it doesn't trigger the red alert. So you just hear an explosion and know that you have to get to your safe room. So typically I would be sleeping here in my bedroom and have to have 0 to 10 seconds.
What would you do then? Yeah,
so
show us.
I'm sleeping, right?
Yeah.
My phone is here.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I jump out of bed and run.
But that you said, well, this is 5% of the time. Super important 5% that you do the right things, as we've seen now. And thank you for sharing that with us. But at the same time, the ambition to aim for normality as well, most of the time, the majority of the time.
Absolutely. We focus on the 95%. Because if I focused on the 5%, that would just take over everything. Because it's dramatic, and it's adrenaline, and it's scary, but it's just 5%.
Does faith believe anything in this matter?
Sorry?
Like any religious faith in this matter? Does that mean anything?
I have an ambivalent relationship with God. It's difficult for me to accept the fact that there could be a Holocaust. But, you know, before I said, God forbid, right? So I guess it's embedded in all of us.
Sure.
My Judaism is my religion and my nationality.
Ja, vad tänker du, Rasmus, om besöket?
Jag tyckte det var väldigt starkt samtal. Jag blev väldigt berörd av framförallt hennes kärlek till Gazaborna. Ja. Och det är helt uppenbart att hon lever med rädsla, men hon vill absolut inte låta sig besegras av det. Vare sig i moralisk mening. Hon vill älska Gazaborna och känna sig älskad av Gazaborna. Och samtidigt vill hon bestämma vilket rum hon sover i. Hon vill inte sova i det här skyddsrummet jämt och ständigt, även om det hade varit tekniskt möjligt. Ja, man förstår det när man ser.
Jag blev väldigt tagen av hur mycket säkerhet och hur mycket de kan. Alltså, för hon är ju en tidigare lärare. Hon är ju en vanlig civil person som bor här. Och hur mycket de måste tänka på. Du vet när man gör en sån här hjärt- och lungräddningsutbildning. Har du gjort det någon gång? Jag har gjort det några gånger. Och liksom att man ska komma ihåg då. När det här händer, gör det här. När det här händer, gör det här. Det här. Och det är ju sådana rutiner med gånger 100. Och det tycker jag att de liksom lever i allt det där. Och precis som du säger också, sen samtidigt försöker hitta normalitet i vardagen. Men också bryr sig om folket som de någonstans ligger i konflikt med. Inte de civila personligen. Det är också väldigt fint att hon berättar att hon nu går det inte att mötas live. Men de möts på internet delvis. Gazabor och hon.
Också att hon poängterar att hon har ingen konflikt med Gazaborna, utan det är myndigheterna eller Hamas. Som hon upplever som ett hot och en slags fiende.
Ja, men jag tycker det här var ett viktigt besök. Det här är en del av vardagen i Israel där det också går att leva fritt på många sätt, men det här finns alltid med någonstans också. Hananya Naftali är en känd politisk influencer med över 2 miljoner följare i sina sociala kanaler. Han säger att han kämpar för fred i Mellanöstern.
We are tired of conflicts. We are tired of wars, of bloodshed. Just this week, when we are filming this episode, there were several terror attacks. Last month, terror attacks, bloodshed. People murder people because they're Jews, because we live in this ancestral homeland and that we pray to the God of Abraham. Only because of that. This is insane. We need to stop this. And that's why I use social media to do everything I can to create friends for Israel. And you'd be surprised, many of those Palestinian people, they message me and they express support for Israel. They express support for Israel because they know the truth. So I want more people to be part of this story of success, of making peace and putting conflict aside, because the days of conflict are over, in my opinion.
Are you, I mean, you really stick your head out. You cannot say otherwise. I mean, you stick your head out, you're straightforward, and are you ever afraid that someone, will attack you? Physically, for example?
I get a lot of death threats, but I'm happy whenever I get them because they inspire me to work even harder, because these are the people that I want to reach out to. I don't want to change, mindset of people that already love Israel. Their friendship is important, but I want to reach the people that don't understand what's happening in Israel. So I get death threats, but it inspires me to work harder. So I'm not scared when people threaten my life. I have nowhere else to go. So I don't care if people threaten my life. It's better if I get death threats than if people murder my brothers and sisters and bury us. Because they understand the Hamas terror group. In their 1988 charter, they say that they want a blood of Jews in the Mediterranean Sea. It's insane.
When you were a soldier sitting in your tank, what did you think? Was it affecting your opinions about the situation? Were you afraid? What happened with the soul?
I have to say that when you cross into the Gaza Strip with a tank, it's a fence, there is a gate that opens, and you cross with the tank. But then I thought, you don't have room to think about whether you're afraid for your life, because if you have this understanding that if you don't act by the book, if you don't do exactly what you're called to do, it's over, it's done. So I wouldn't call it fear of battle. I would compare it to fear of God, so to say, because you're not afraid, but you know that if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, same in battle, it's over. So it's not fear, it's the being super concentrated and being super focused and not letting things take that important focus, especially when you're in battle.
The rest of the world sees, a hardcore, I would say, prime minister that, knows what he wants, and, he will not apologize for anything.
And actually, they do hate him.
Some hate him, obviously, and there's different opinions on him in Israel.
It's a democracy. That's what's beautiful.
But you getting close to him and his team and everything, do you ever see with him or with other politicians, I'm sure you meet many of them, do you ever see them struggle as well because it's difficult situations? Or
I wouldn't say struggle, but I think that I see
on a personal level,
I see in many politicians this I would say compare it to fear of God, because you're in this position and you're serving the state of Israel in the most important place, the Knesset of Israel, the government of Israel. It's this fear of God that's like you focus on your mission. And the Prime Minister, he doesn't need aides and advisors. He knows what to do, but I really love that he believes in the young generation. He believed in me. I joined the team when I was 22. So it's insane that you have a leader that believes in the young people and gives them a chance and listens. I think that's inspiring, whether people like him or not. In my opinion, he's done so much for Israel. All these skyscrapers that we see, he had helped develop Israel. When he was the finance minister, you couldn't hold $1. in Israel. You couldn't have dollars. He opened it up. So whether people like him or not, he did tremendous things for the state of Israel, and I'm forever grateful, and so are my friends. And if there's one thing that I want people to take from the average Israeli is that we come in peace. We hate conflict. When I was a soldier, I did not enjoy being stationed at the border with Gaza. I would much rather sitting in the couch at home playing PlayStation or watching a movie. But we live in a different reality. I want them to understand that we want to build friendships. I don't care if you're European, American, Syrian, Asian, Arab. We want friendship and promote a dialogue. No one is perfect, but let's come together and discuss it over coffee and solve the problem. Together we can. Alone we cannot.